Hi, I'm Chef Lou Rice from Performance Food Service Ozarks. Today, we're going to talk about thermometer use and how to calibrate them, how to clean them. We've talked before about time and temperature control, keeping things out of the temperature danger zone. A thermometer is one of the greatest tools we have to help with temperature control. Now, there's a lot of different types of thermometers out there. Two of the basics you're going to see most often. The first is what we call bimetallic stem thermometer. We say that because there's basically two types of metal here, the outside and the inside. And as we put this into either a hot or a cold medium, it causes that metal to rise. That's what makes the dial go around. These are very common. A couple things about these though. Typically, you're going to see somewhere about a third of the way up a little dimple. All right, and that dimple is where that thermometer basically stops working. So keep in mind, if you're using this thermometer and you're trying to get a reading from all the way up here, you're not going to get an accurate reading. So look for that dimple. Two, there's a nut on the bottom of most bimetallic stem thermometers which allow you to adjust these. When should I adjust them? Well, if they're not giving us the right temperature when we're testing them, or if we expose them to super high heat, or if we drop them or they get hit, we should do a check on it. I advise people to check their thermometer every day. Every shift when you come in, we check that. Now, how do we check these? There's two basic ways. The first way, the easiest way, we fill a cup with ice. We put enough water just to cover the ice. We stick our thermometer in, and we leave it in there for about a minute and a half until it stops moving. And we're looking for 32 degrees. Now, ServSafe will allow a variance of 2 degrees plus or minus. So if we put this in there and it says 34 degrees, we're still fine. Or if it says 30 degrees, we're fine. However, if it's outside of that variance, then what we do is we use the adjusting nut below. We turn that nut, which turns the dial to make sure it's the right temperature. Now, cold water is probably the simplest, but another method we can use is the boiling water method. And most of our thermometers come with some way to hold the thermometer so you can keep your hands away. Here, we're going to use boiling water, and we're going to look for a temperature of 212. Once again, that 2 degrees plus or minus is a variance. If we're not getting 212, we once again turn the nut to make sure that it is the proper temperature. Now, another type of thermometer you're going to see in food service, and they vary in shape, style, and look, is the electric. I personally like the electric. These are waterproof, which make them nice in the kitchen. The downside to some of these nicer ones is you cannot calibrate them. So if you're getting more than that 2 degree variance when you take the temperature, you're going to have to go get a new one. But once again, I like to check these every day. Another nice thing about these is you can go between Celsius and Fahrenheit just by the push of a button. We calibrate them the same way. We either do the ice water and we're looking for 32 degrees, or we do that boiling water and we're looking at 212. Now, using the thermometer, there are several different ways to properly use the thermometer depending on what we're taking a temperature of. If we're getting, say, a bagged product, and here we have some bagged mashed potatoes. Now we could stick these, but we run the risk of contamination. We also then have to do something because we put a hole into this aseptic packaging. So the easiest way to do it is to wrap that bag around our thermometer. And once again, we're just going to wait for that dial to quit moving. We're going to make sure when we look at our temperature danger zone, these cold items, we want to make sure this is below 41 degrees, okay? So a lot of times you've got like these mashed potatoes, or you've got mac and cheese, or pudding, those things you can in a bag, just wrap around. Another method might be for sour cream, for cottage cheese, for things along that line that come in a tub, is open one of the tubs. Stick your thermometer right in there, wait for it to stop, and you'll get your reading there. Now, When you're doing something like this, you notice how I tried to get my thermometer right in the middle of the bag? I want to make sure that I get that thermometer down in the middle of the product. If I'm trying to take the temperature of this product here and I just put this on the top, that top tends to be a little bit warmer. The colder is going to be in the middle, but I really want to get down into the middle of that product. Now, of course, after you use your thermometer, we're either going to use our Sandy bucket or we're going to use one of these prep wipes just to make sure that we're nice and clean and sanitize after each use. One of the issues I see a lot of times in restaurants is I'll see people using a thermometer and they'll take that dirty thermometer they've just used, they put it right back in the sheath. So I always make it a habit to wash this at least once a week. Run it through the dish machine, make sure it's sanitized, cleaned in and out. Now, another thing we're going to take temperature of, here's some simple protein, a piece of salmon. And this is another area where I see people not following proper procedure. If I want to make sure I'm getting the true temperature of this salmon, I'll see people take a thermometer and just stick right there. Well, that's not really getting me a good, accurate representation of what the temperature is. So knowing that I need to get into the middle, I'm going to take my thermometer and insert from the side to get that true middle. Also, don't take the temperature of things if it's still in the hot pan, because if your probe touches the bottom of that pan and goes through the meat, it's going to give you a false picture. Same thing for deep fryer. If you've got something in a deep fryer and you're trying to take the temperature of it, pull that item out, take a sample out, and take the temperature of it. Now, if you're doing something like large roast or big pieces of meat, I know you're going to have some liquid that's going to come out. Say I'm doing a turkey and I put that thermometer in. It's not done yet, and I'm going to see some of those turkey juices come out. That's understandable. Go ahead and try to use that same spot if you use your thermometer again, rather than putting a lot of different holes into that. So remember to use the proper technique. Get to know your thermometer, make sure it's clean, make sure it's calibrated. Once again, you should calibrate this before every shift, if possible. If it's not working, ask your boss, your manager, to get you one that's proper, because this is the best tool we have for temperature control. Thank you.